After more than 4 years, a Food Network star who didn't pay his rent was finally evicted. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News.
Does he want to come up?
Yeah.
City Marshal, hello?
It's been 4.5 years.
Yeah, long time.
All right, so I have an interesting update to a story that I covered just a little while ago about this Food Network star who didn't pay their rent. Okay, so basically this Food Network star abused the eviction moratoriums and used every excuse through the book, and you used the court system against the landlord in order to not pay rent for more than 4 years, okay, and ended up owing the landlord more than $145,000. So I like to highlight cases like this because it really shows the problems that we have with the whole system in places like New York City, okay? The whole system is set up to work against landlords, to make it as difficult as possible for a landlord to be able to operate their business by imposing laws such as extremely strong eviction protections, rent control, and then they put in place eviction moratoriums that lasted far beyond what the federal eviction moratorium or other states were doing. So it was absolutely ridiculous. And they acted like they didn't realize that, oh yeah, scam artists such as this person here were going to take advantage of the situation and basically suck landlords out of their money, okay? Suck the money straight out of landlords, you know, just live somewhere for free for as long as possible. And that's exactly what this guy did. You know, it's a scumbag move. And you know what? Some has-been reality TV star such as this guy, you know what? He's not going to end up on the streets. He's going to go and then probably abuse another landlord after this, because this is the exact sort of scam that professional tenants use, okay? So unfortunately, I feel bad for whoever his next landlord is going to be, because you're going to end up out thousands of dollars as well. And this guy's going to be protected by the whole eviction and tenant system up in the state of New York. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, and leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Can you believe that it took a landlord 4 years to be able to get rid of a bad tenant such as this? Okay, and do you think this landlord's ever going to get a penny of this $145,000 back? I don't. Okay, I think that it's a lost cause even trying to fight for it. And how many other landlords, just like this one, are still suffering to this day? Okay, this isn't a one-off case. The only reason this case even made the news was because the person who was the scam artist just happened to be a former reality TV show star, okay? It's absolutely insane, okay? Yeah, you're on the Food Network, so now we care. No. This is happening to landlords all throughout the city and the state. So, yeah, keep in mind, this kind of stuff goes on. It really does happen. And there's a lot of landlords who you'll never hear their story about because they're just suffering in silence, okay? So anyway, let's read this update. This article is coming from the NewYorkPost.com, and it says, ex-Food Network chef finally booted from New York City apartment after using loopholes to avoid rent for over 4 years. And they said this guy was on the Food Network like in 2012 or something like that. So it's been more than a decade, okay? So I can definitely call this guy a has-been. So anyway, let's get into the article and see what it says. His days poaching a Brooklyn landlord are finally over. Ex-Food Network reality star turned squatter Madison Cohen has vacated his Borum Hill apartment after relying on soft eviction laws to avoid more than $145,000 in rent payments the past 4.5 years. The British-born ex-champ of Chopped and Iron Chef and his family were already out of the one-bedroom State Street pad Tuesday morning before landlord Gus Sheeha arrived with the city marshal, Charles Marciato, to formally evict him under court order and change the locks. The bad part is that it took 4.5 years to get that court order, okay? But, you know, there was nothing the landlord could do during the city's ridiculous eviction moratoriums, okay? I am so tired of these eviction moratorium laws having these long-term consequences like this. We're talking about it's 2024 right now, and the whole thing started back in 2020, so more than 4 years ago. Now, this guy originally stopped paying rent back before the whole pandemic started. So yeah, you can see that this has been a very long, very slow, very awful process. So, you know, the good thing is that the landlord didn't collapse because of it. And that is hard to believe, but yeah, some landlords are actually able to, you know, survive taking on this much debt, having a tenant not paying rent for this long. The bad thing would be if this was a small mom and pop landlord who owned one unit and had a mortgage on the property, and this forced them into foreclosure. So yeah, I feel bad for the landlord regardless of your size, regardless of if you could survive or not, right? But, you know, this is real money. This is real money that this guy stole. That's right, because when you don't pay your rent and you live somewhere for free, you're stealing. I know that people don't understand that. Tenants, that's not stealing. Yes, it is stealing. You're literally stealing the property from the person, or, you know, it's like stealing services, okay? It's like, yeah, it's not a victimless crime. The landlord, you are stealing the money from them, and, you know, you should be treated appropriately. $145,000. If you were a fraudster and you scammed somebody out of $145,000, well, guess what? That's a felony crime that you can go to prison for in most jurisdictions, but not when it comes to landlord-tenant law. No, that's not a felony there. The only place in the world where crime is not crime, I guess, right? Anyway, let me continue with this story. We're just happy that he is out, a relieved Shiha told the Post minutes after entering the apartment. I would hope others see this and understand what type of tenant he was and are not left in the same position I was. The one-bedroom apartment, which Cohen initially rented for $2,700 a month, was clean and appeared in good shape, with the chef only leaving behind a Swiffer mop. The serial squatter still owes 53 months in back rent on the apartment, which he occupied since October of 2019, according to Shia. So yeah, at least he left the place clean. I mean, how many times has not only you had to go through the eviction process to get a bad tenant out, but the tenant trashed the place, okay? And that's happened to me. That has happened to me here in Omaha, Nebraska. Not only did I have to pay thousands of dollars to get the tenant up out of there and lose thousands of dollars worth of rent, but they trashed my place on top of that. You know, so at least the guy didn't do that. But that doesn't mean you're any less of a scumbag or a scam artist, okay? So yeah, this is a bad story, bad for this landlord. He hasn't paid a cent for the place since January of 2020, relying on legal loopholes like repeatedly appealing eviction orders to remain in the apartment, said the landlord. The system is only getting worse, Shiha said. Unfortunately, it is small landlords who get hurt the most here and could potentially go bankrupt when you have tenants not paying the rent for 4.5 years. Shiha said he and his family expect to eat the rent money owed to them, conceding he'd have to spend more money on lawyers to file another lawsuit, and there's no guarantee he'll be able to track down Cohen to get paid. Well, I think that this guy, you know what, you'll probably be able to track him down because, you know, he's a quasi has-been celebrity. Okay, you might be able to track him down. You might be able to get paid the rent. The amount of money owed, $145,000, that's a lot to just let slide. You know, it might be worth it, but I think the big problem is that this guy, whether he was a chef in the past or not, he's obviously not doing well financially now. So even if you got a judgment against this guy for this huge sum of money, it's very unlikely that he'll be able to pay. And that's the real issue right there. So you hire lawyers, you pay them thousands of dollars, you know, they garnish this guy's non-existent wages or, you know, inadequate wages, and you don't get even a fraction of the money that he owes you back. So is it worth it? Probably not, okay? So yeah, interesting story. I feel bad for the landlord who had to deal with this nonsense for 4.5 years. But, you know, word of warning to those who think that, oh, I'm going to be a small mom and pop landlord in a place like New York where they treat landlords like crap. Don't do it. Think again. Okay, think again.